boys and girls, and Pokemon trainers far and wide. It's time for the PokeBlock, the segment of our show where we discuss anything and everything, but mostly nothing Pokemon. From news to competitions and our own personal Pokemon journeys, Nuzlocks, Firelocks, Waterlocks, etc., etc. We've already kind of talked about Pokemon Go and our journey so far with Pokemon Go in this week's Play and Tell. If you want to head over, you can listen to that. Basically, the summary of that is that we're still enjoying Pokemon Go. We think the game could probably be using a lot more, like, as far as updates, especially in the tracking category. Very unfortunate that they removed the tracking functionality from the game, and they've even told Pokevision website to back down and stop using, like, to take down their stuff. And so, that kind of sucks, but
it was It was so funny last night. The update came out, and like you had told me about it, I think, and then I immediately went and downloaded it, and then it was like I had been down here just playing games and stuff, and Kayla had fallen asleep on the couch, and it was about 3 a.m. when I finally was like, all right, I think I'm gonna head to bed now, and so I like kind of woke Kayla up, and we head up to bed, and I mentioned like as we're crawling in bed, like there's an update out for Pokemon Go, and she's like already turned on her side, like starting to go to bed, and she like instantly like takes out her phone, lights it up, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna get it and check it out. It's like 3 a.m. She's been asleep for like 4 hours at this point, and then I just tell her there's an update out, and she's just immediately on it.
Yeah,
I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah, my wife's been playing. She's a nanny, and so she takes sometimes she takes the kid she's walking or not walking, the kid she's nannying on a walk or something, like in a stroller, and you can push the stroller with one hand and have Pokemon Go that's open in the other, and go for a nice little walk in the neighborhood. And she was catching some Pokemon the other day, and she was looking at the weather forecast for tomorrow, and like there's a certain temperature, you don't want to take a baby out in 200-degree weather because everyone will die. You also don't want to take the baby out when it's snowing because that's stupid. And so there's that perfect medium between 200-degree weather and sub-zero temperatures where you can go for a walk.
Yeah.
And she's excited because tomorrow she should be able to. And there's the new update. I think she's getting close to some upper levels where some real stuff's going to start happening,
Yeah.
The Mewtwo's are going to start coming out of the bushes.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be insane.
The Celebies.
Yeah, well, don't you have to stand by a tree or something, like a birdhouse or something? And
but it was removed in the US version and stuff. So
yeah, stupid. Speaking of Pokemon Go Plus, which is the wristband peripheral for the game where you can just tap it to catch Pokemon, has been delayed. It's now due out in September, not the original release date of July 31st, most likely because the game is taking a lot more patching and fixing than they originally anticipated, mainly due because they had to stop everything and halt everything because the servers got bombarded by a bunch of people. Yep. So many people. Speaking of how successful the game is, it has slipped from number 1 on the App Store, meaning it was number 1 on the iOS App Store. It's now number 2 and may have even dropped since then. Could be back up. We don't know. Bottom line is this game's pretty successful, and it's going to be up there at the top of the list for probably ever.
Yep.
I don't think anything's going to beat it. Unless Yokai Watch will.
Year 3,563. Pokemon Go still on the top of the iOS charts.
They've updated the game with the newest gen of Pokemon.
Gen 500.
Speaking of Pokemon in the future, it seems as though we may be seeing some Pokemon in the future. Not Pokemon, but maybe little boys and girls named after Pokemon. In the U.S., it appears as though parents are actually naming their children after Pokemon due to Pokemon Go. And so if you are a parent right now, or if you plan on having kids, you may have little Billy or Tommy growing up in elementary school alongside his classmate Pikachu. And they'll come home and they'll be crying. They'll be like, yo, Meowth scratched my face today. And you'll be like, yo, Pokemon's not real. And he'll be like, no. The little punk kid that sits behind me in algebra, like, Meowth, he was scratching my face. And I don't know what kids are taking algebra and scratching each other, but usually at that point it's like...
If you were raised with the name Meowth, you might have some tendencies that come out that are a little bit modeled after that Pokemon. I would imagine. like, it's gotta have some sort of trauma or abuse that is, like, deeply ingrained there. Your parents have somehow conditioned you to act like a cat or something like that.
It reminds me of like...
Just always talking like, hey kid, what you doing?
Like, reminds me of that, our neighbor, that Martha, get over here. I can just imagine, like, Muck, where are ya?
Yeah, Magmar.
You need to get home right now. Mewtwo. But no, I mean, I can imagine there's some people meeting right now on Pokemon Go. You know, you get a lure module down, the girls come a-popping, you meet, you make a baby, you name your kid after the Pidgey you just caught. Like,
think if like during the initial Pokemon craze back in the like late 90s, early 2000s, if people had named their kids after Pokemon, which surely somebody did out there. Now finally with Pokemon Go hype, it's like finally being rewarded to them, you know, it's like finally paying off. They're like, wow,
Well, I was named after Lawrence Kasdan, who was the writer for Star Wars Episode 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And for years that wasn't relevant. I mean, it's always been Star Wars, like it's always been somewhat relevant. But, I mean, now he wrote The Force Awakens, and his son is writing Rogue One, I think, he's writing the Han Solo film. And it's like, when people ask me, like, Kasdan, where does that name come from? I'm like, well, Zach backwards, but also the guy that's writing Star Wars. It's like,
They go skipping off, jumping way too high.
They finally figured out the source of my name. I bet actually people listening to the podcast, you know, you got Hayden Gaming out there who listens every week, and the Mango Viking, they probably didn't know either why I was named Kasdan, so... I mean, maybe they just thought it was like a stage name for Zach and Kaz, host of Koppai podcast. But no, that's my real name. Moving on, though, Pokemon Go has been bringing the 3DS games back into the charts. Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and Y all have re-entered the charts this week in the UK, which means Pokemon Go will most likely push Sun and Moon. Speaking of Sun and Moon, there were some new Pokemon announced for Sun and Moon that we didn't really get a chance to talk about. And so, since that was in the news, we can go ahead and share some details and some thoughts on these new Pokemon that we didn't get a chance to discuss.
We've never had a chance to discuss these ever.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is we discussed these on the recording that went missing, and there's one Pokemon in particular we're gonna have to readdress. I don't know, I think it'll still be funny. I'm still just thinking about it, just the fact that it's there, I'm already laughing.
There's a couple of them on this list.
Yeah. The first one that was announced for Pokemon Sun and Moon is Wimpod. It's a bug and water Pokemon, and here's the temporary Pokedex entry for Wimpod. It's a Turntail Pokemon. This Pokemon is a cowardly scavenger that eats or stores anything that's been dropped in the sea, meaning it is highly valued across the Alola region as a cleaner of the sea. Actually, what are these things called? Like in real life, like they suck on the dirt and the algae eaters.
Yeah.
Dad has one in the aquarium, and I think he named it after like some like Browns player, or like a Chicago Bears football player. Like, what is it? Cutler, because he sucks, is what he said, I think. Ha! Football joke. Wimpod has the ability Wimp Out, which causes this Pokemon to run away or swap out for another Pokemon when its HP is down below half in battle, which we were talking in the previous recording. Does that mean that, like, even if it's within your level range for Pokemon Gym, like Authority, and if it's, like, in battle, like, will it just randomly leave? Like,
yeah.
Like, will that suck? We were mentioning, like, in the episode of Pokemon where Caterpie just wimps out, like, this is going to be really inconvenient, I think. Like, who's going to want to use Wimpod?
Yeah. Well, it seems like a very, hopefully transitional Pokemon, like, has to evolve into something else and lose that ability, I would think.
Yeah.
But it does add a little bit of a sense of realism to a Pokemon that's of a wimpier persuasion. It's called Wimpod. It kind of fits into its whole...
A wimpier persuasion?
Yeah.
That's our Koppai analysis of Wimpod. Moving on, Boon Sweet. is a grass-type Pokemon. Boonsweet is a fruit Pokemon which gives off the delicious aroma. This aroma has a calming effect on humans, so many people across the Alola region let them live inside their homes as an air freshener of sorts. We compared this, I believe it was to Cherubi, which is a cherry-type Pokemon.
They look very similar.
Very similar. You have to pull those up on your smartphone device. Ask Siri right now, real quick. Siri, pull me up a picture of Cherubi. Oh wait, Siri was wait. We gotta do that again. The volume was low because I was recording Koppai. All right, Siri. Oh wait, here we go. Wait, what's the button? Show me a picture of the Pokemon Cherubi.
I don't hear her.
Here are some images of the Pokemon Cherokee I found on the web.
Jeez, what happened to Siri?
I have Siri as a British man because it makes me think that I'm Batman and that's my Alfred.
Oh. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, so when I'm getting directions around Minneapolis, because I need to use my GPS all the time, it's like, kind of like my little buddy in the car. He's like, good morning, Kasdan. Oi, governor. Today we're going to go down to the Pimp at the Bobby. So, it's pretty nice. Way more.
I think you make some Australian.
And the nice thing about it is I think it sounds way more authentic than the girl voice. I got the idea, though. My wife uses the British woman, and so I thought I'd use the British man. But yeah, Boonsweet and Cherubi look a lot alike. And that's pretty much the gist of that Pokemon. We were pointing out it's really cool with all these Pokemon. It's nice how they specific they are to the Alola region. Like you won't find these guys anywhere else. Like they're designing these Pokemon with the mindset of the region, which is really cool. And I think the Pokemon Company has noted in the past how drawn they are to Hawaii. They've gone there a couple times for their World Championships, and so I think they just really like that region. Speaking of Hawaii, Comfey is a fairy-type Pokemon that looks a lot like a Hawaiian lei. The posy picker Pokemon Comfey picks flowers, which it carries around with it. Comfey uses its soothing aroma to help treat people and Pokemon at the Pokemon centers and hospitals. Colin Moriarty from KindaFunny.com noted that it would be a perfect Pokemon to take some nice scissors to and cut in half.
And see if it screams.
Yeah, see if it screams, because it's like hugging itself, or I don't know how the anatomy works. Like, how does it...
I'd like to see an X-ray of this Pokemon.
Yeah,
I definitely have the episode and the anime already envisioned in my mind for this one, where Ash and friends are walking along the path. They see
someone's been shot in the head.
Yeah, somebody or some Pokemon has been shot in the head fatally, or maybe squeezed or kicked a little too hard in the head by one of the upcoming Pokemon. But it's like frantically gathering flowers, and they're all concerned, like, what is this Comfey doing? Something must be wrong. And they follow the Comfey back, and it's going to a Pokemon Center with all these flowers it has collected, and there's so many different Comfeys that are also rushing to the Pokemon Center, and they're all jumping around some kid or Pokemon. They're bringing their power of love and comfiness to this kid, individual Pokemon, or evil monster, and making it happy.
What's interesting about...
And if that they're going to take that idea if it's not already an episode being developed.
What's interesting about Comfey is the Pokemon itself is actually like this little green kind of ball thing with two little hands. I think the rest of the Pokemon is just the flowers it's collected. I don't think the Pokemon's the actual circle.
Oh, wow.
The actual picture of it, the Pokemon looks very small and green, and you can see there's like a notable difference between the Pokemon and the flowers. And very clearly they're holding on to the last flower in the circle. And so, very interesting indeed. Moving on to this psycho freaking path, Mudsdale is a ground-type Pokemon. Mudsdale is a draft horse Pokemon with the incredible power and stamina. Its legs are coated in a protective mud, and its kick can destroy a freaking vehicle in one blow. Mudsdale has the ability Stamina, a new ability which raises a Pokemon's defense by 1 when it's hit by an attack. Basically, this lethal Pokemon has the power to total a car with its back feet. Just bam.
Basically, your Wimpod is not going to wimp out against this Pokemon because it will be dead.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's interesting to note is that they have your Pokemon trainers can now be viewed in the battlefield. I don't know.
So you're going to be able to see your Pokemon trainer weeping as your Pokemon is murdered?
Yeah, like, well, no, I'm thinking like, I mean, I'm assuming it's the back legs of the Pokemon, you know.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a horse, they usually do that back kick.
Yeah.
And my trainer's gonna be standing right beside behind this thing. I'm just worried about my trainer getting decapitated.
Yeah, you're like standing out, like battling with Mudsdale out, and you're just kind of like behind it, like, I gotta back up a little bit, or off to the side.
Box and stuff, like, oh man. So I'm just gonna be nervous, like every time he does like the back kick animation, my trainer's gonna be like just clenching his butt crack, like, oh no, like, this is it. Oh man.
Yeah, it does not. I don't think that they thought too much about the canonical implications of adding this sort of freak power to this Pokemon. Like, I think that you noted that it seemed like some guy was just riding.
Intern was just carelessly riding, like, you know, and then he's a horse and he can destroy a car with one blow. Like, it's like one of those friends on the playground that's just like, my superpower is I'm completely invincible. And it's like, no, dude, you can't do that. Like,
yeah, it's like Superman. It's like, it doesn't entirely make total sense. You know,
Yeah.
all of the things. You can't just do this. You can't just add a Pokemon that can destroy a car in a single blow. It doesn't make any sense. But also, you've added Pokemon that is freaking God, so.
That's true too. Like, we have everything ranging from like air fresheners in the house to horses with the capability of destroying oncoming traffic by raising their hooves. Like, it's not a good deal, and it just makes me worried, like, in the anime, like, there's gonna be, like, no doubt a scene where Team Rocket gets hit in the head by this thing, and realistically, canonically, that should kill them.
Yeah.
That should destroy their flesh. You should see just blood squirt, like, that should be the end of it. Speaking of another psychopath, Beware is a normal fighting type Pokemon, and Beware is a strong arm Pokemon that must never be approached carelessly. This pedo bear with its strong,
especially by children.
Yeah,
Keep your children away from this Pokemon.
This strong and highly developed arms and legs, Beware loves to give crushing bear hugs that will split, canonically, quote, anything, end quote, in two.
Ooh.
Now, once again, some writer in the Pokemon office wrote down, I think it'd be cool if this guy's abilities, he can just destroy anything in two. Once again, not thinking of the implications that by writing that in this Pokedex entry, the encyclopedia of these Pokemon, he can crush anything in two. What's interesting also is the preview picture for him on the website. He's hugging a tree and the tree is snapping in half. Wow. Like, if he can crush a tree, like, he's not the bear of the tree, like, the bottom of the tree too, like, he could, if he can crush it like that, and like, I'm looking at his face on this picture here, he's not phased at all, he's just hugging it, like, he could potentially just crush someone's bones without skipping a beat, like, and that's just, the implications of that, once again, are completely dangerous. So between these two Pokemon, really watch out.
These are the new legendary Pokemon of Sun and Moon.
They're gonna be on the next. We're gonna have Pokemon Bear and Pokemon Mudsdale, like, just on the cover and stuff. Yeah, really terrifying. And the fact that his design, that he's so capable of complete and total destruction, but he looks so pink and fluffy. You'd have no doubt that a kid's gonna go up and give this bear a hug.
Oh, yeah, it's completely terrifying, because also you'd be looking up at his face, like, for help, and it'd be completely unfazed. He probably wouldn't even be looking at you in the eyes as he's just crushing you and splitting you in two. It's like, he's just, like, not even a thought process to it. It's just what he does, his instincts. And once he has something in his arms, all he knows is to squeeze until it's in two. Like,
that's all he knows. Oh man, he's probably cursed. They probably are going like near instinct because they probably can't eat anything. It's like they pick up an apple and just hug it.
Yeah.
It's gone. Oh man. And rounding out the new Pokemon list, we have Mimikyu is a ghost and fairy type Pokemon that can live its constant life covered in its cloth. Mimikyu's disguise ability allows it to escape danger from an enemy's attack once, and then its appearance changes, which makes us think that it's probably going to have some sort of similar effect to Ditto. But it's interesting to note that the current image for it on the Pokemon website is it mimicking Pikachu.
Yeah.
If they're going to prepare a whole bunch of different variations for it, depending on each Pokemon, that'd be a ton of work. We mentioned that it may just do the whole kind of like, what is it, kind of pixelated sort of transition that Ditto has, you know?
Yeah.
Where
it could just do a lot of the Alola region Pokemon or something that they have, or something that it's known to see often, and Pikachu could be one of those Pokemon that's encountered in the wild there, so.
Yeah. Because I think your rival in the game like chooses like a Pichu or something for the starter Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Rounding out the PokeBlock news, the director of the game is Shigeru Omori, and he was first director on Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So if you want to get a feel for what Sun and Moon is going to be like, those would be good ones to go play. This will be his first all-new Pokemon game. The producer of Sun and Moon and the director of the previous Pokemon titles, after Red and Blue, stated that he passed the series on because the challenge it would present, and he doesn't want to deal with it. Here are some highlights of what he said. Masuda, who was the previous producer, wanted to point out in the E3 demo gameplay how the player is able to move freely without any grid or directional restrictions due to the fact that they had to revamp the trainer, that opponent trainers now have a line of sight that is completely isolated to where they're looking. When the player is getting close to the trainer's line of sight, the screen will have a dark border and then it'll have an exclamation mark when the trainer has been sighted. Very similar to kind of like a Metal Gear Solid sort of stealth thing. Very nifty for people that don't know exactly where a trainer can see. This will now make it much easier if all of your Pokemon are dead and you want to get to the Pokemon Center without being challenged. Omori noticed that with the new field movement, battle scenes, user interface, and more have been mostly received positively. So he feels relieved. Keen veteran players may notice that the quality of the gameplay is being naturally revolutionized with just a subtle hint with the free field movement. So just kind of some changes that wouldn't be possible before because of this new movement. Masuda also points out another aspect, which is that the sea and sky can now be viewed from the field. Basically, we noted in the previous recording of this podcast that it's basically now an entirely 3D open world game, where previously it still had that very much so top-down sort of grid-based game that was known in the 2D era. Like even though X and Y was 3D, it was still locked into that 2D engine almost, just with 3D sprites. Now that's completely gone, and it's just a 3D open world game in the world of Pokemon, which is legit. They've also made many measures to improve the gameplay tempo, so it's just going to be a way more refined experience most likely. Maybe hard to notice, but it's just a completely different engine from X and Y. And they're still doing a whole bunch of other stuff that the technology may not be able to previously handle, but now they're really just pushing it to the limits. And so, all of that being said, it's going to be a good year for Pokemon, and Sun and Moon hype is very real, very exciting. And so,
yeah,
be sure to. We didn't get a chance. Do you want to talk about our Nuzlocke real quick? Real quick, I can maybe put the highlight reel like right here or something. Montage. With Zach's Nuzlocke challenge last week, he completed Pokemon Red. As a Nuzlocke challenge with certain rules and conditions to make it a little bit more challenging and unique experience to you. We forgot to put up that montage of you beating the Elite Four. This past week, you started a new one with Pokemon Yellow. With certain rules, and I started a Pokemon Nuzlocke / Monotype challenge where I could only use one type of Pokemon. I chose Fire, thus I chose Charmander as my starter. Between our recording on Friday and this recording now, he passed away. He was brutally murdered and drowned in Misty's gym. He had Mega Punch as one of his abilities, and he punched twice, missed twice, and then got doused in water. His tail got extinguished. And he collapsed to the ground. He's dead. I'm gonna have to start over. Hopefully next week I can share more details on that.
That's so sad.
But I'm gonna stick with this Firelock. I love this idea of doing a Firelock. I am experimenting with the exact refined rules that I have because I want to have like a set of rules to share next week with my new Firelock, like exactly what the standards are. Like I must catch, the first fire type I see, or maybe even just make a list, like in this Firelock challenge, I can only catch one Charmander, one Growlithe, one Ponyta, in this Firelock challenge, I can receive the EV from Celadon, but it must be evolved into Flareon, stuff like that.
Right.
So people can copy it and it can be the exact same experience for them, but like in their own tailored sort of way. My big thing right now is how I go about the gym battles, because it's not exactly like a full team Nuzlocke. And so a lot of times people say you can't go past 5 levels of the gym leader. But since I only have one Pokemon for a lot of these early gyms, should I get 10 extra levels? And I really like the idea of just going until your gym badge allows you to. And I may do that with this next one. I don't know if that's too lenient, but with Misty, I think I may need level 30, and so we'll see. Yeah.
Well, mine, I had gone to, like I had said in the last recording, that when you started your monotype challenge, because I beat my red Nuzlocke last week, of course, and it was a big, decision whether I buy Pokemon Blue, or if I go to Yellow, or if I go to the Alpha Sapphire, which I also have, or also replaying X, with another challenge. It was I kind of felt a little bit lost at sea after my Pokemon Red Nuzlocke, because when I was in that, I had so much focus and so much of a drive in what I was wanting to accomplish. It was very, just one mind, direction towards the Elite Four. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was playing. I'd been in it for quite a while. It was 55 hours. And so afterwards, I just felt a little bit lost. I don't have something solid in ground that I need to be playing. So I did drift away to a lot of playing through the Gum and Clive and trying out some other games on the side. But also starting this Yellow Nuzlocke, which I started basically the same way as I did my Yellow one. And then you had said that you're going to start this Firelock one, but I was already 2 hours into my new one, which I did add some new rules to it, which makes it so, if I go into an area, I have to beat everyone in that area without going to a Pokemon Center. All I can use is healing items, and then I have to get through that area, and also using the...
I've been doing that, too, with my Firelock, yeah.
Yeah, the +5 level cap on gym leaders and rival battle. So, when we kind of had that conversation, I was just about to face Brock in Pewter City, so... Basically, I just was kind of in a feeling of, what the heck, I'm just going to go for the challenge, and I don't really care if at this point my team kind of dies. I don't know, I was feeling kind of lost with it. Maybe I want to restart and just do an electric lock or something with Pikachu.
I think you should do that.
So I went in through it, and first of I thought, I might gain a couple levels while I'm fighting these trainers. There happened to be only one trainer. For some reason, I forgot that there's not two trainers in Brock's area, but it was just one guy, and he didn't raise me any levels, and so I was completely unprepared to fight Brock and knew that I was just completely screwed. And so then I remembered my rule that I can't heal at Pokemon Centers, and I'm like, oh crap. Suddenly, actually kind of felt some remorse and, sadness about potentially losing some of these Pokemon members on my team that I'd kind of grown fond of. So we trained, we used my potions up. I got my Butterfree Fruit Loop from Metapod. He evolved finally, and then used my Nidoran named Big Mama and got her up to level 13. And so we went in, and it was I had kind of underestimated his levels because I had looked at the red and blue levels, which are a little bit higher for Brock at least. And so I was expecting a little bit more of a challenge. To my surprise, he was a little bit lower. We were able to beat him with that's the other rule too, is that I have to use the same amount of Pokemon as the gym. I had to use 2 Pokemon versus his 2 Pokemon. The same case for Misty and, for the other ones that only use, I think that the gym leaders really for the most part get a max of 5 Pokemon or something by the end of the game. So, it was that situation, and finally we were able to actually pull it off. There was a couple scary moments, but I've actually been really enjoying doing the Nuzlocke, just kind of more standard style, only with these extra challenges, so that there is something there. I'm through Mount Moon now officially, so I'm in Cerulean City. We're gonna be facing Misty soon, which should be a pretty easy fight with my Pikachu. But I'm just not too one of the main reasons for replaying these games is to transfer them to Sun and Moon in the end. Hopefully, if a team can make it through the Nuzlocke and never faint, it's just kind of a cool thing. These guys made it through with me. So I feel really good about that. And then, for the most part, it's I want to have fun with it at the same time as it being super challenging. And I liked having a varied team too, not having all of necessarily like Magnemite on my team and then Zapdos and whatever, a couple few electric types there are, like Voltorb or something,
Yeah.
you know, like having to force that. Like there's definitely a big challenge there, but I definitely think that, like with the fire type, those are kind of just genuinely cooler a little bit Pokemon. Even the water lock, if I were to go back for blue, which I think that once I do go back to blue, I'm going to be doing the just monotype sort of challenge, but
Yeah.
But for this one, at this case, I'm just hoping that because in my red lock I lost 18 Pokemon through that run, and I also lost my starter. Rest in peace, Dankasaur.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
But this one I'm hoping to make it through, hopefully without losing anybody at all, but also doing these new, a little bit more challenging rules at the same time. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see where it takes off next and see what my team ends up being in the end versus what my last one is. I think in this one I will also try to stay away from using Pokemon that are given to me in trades and stuff like that. You do get the 3 starters in yellow, so I'm kind of like, as I say that, like, I kind of wanted to maybe pick 1 starter out of the 3, which that might be the rule that I allow myself, is not using all 3 of them, but maybe using 1. But in my last Pokemon Red Nuzlocke, I did use Sailor, which is somebody you get on Cinnabar Island. It's in a trade for, like, it's a seal that you get, but it was really convenient because if you get a traded Pokemon, you get the trade boost, and it just helps for grinding so much, especially in the Gen 1 games. It's like such a relief to have double the XP and stuff for certain Pokemon. So this one I might try to avoid that for the most part, just to not get that XP boost, but also I'm not too against it, just because, man, that grind at the end is brutal, but also kind of rewarding and fun at the same time. There's like an odd sort of fun to it. But yeah,
my plan is to do the fire lock, and I can only have 5 different fire Pokemon in Pokemon Red, so I'll finish out that team when I transfer it to Sun and Moon with my Litten, and then I'm going to do a water lock with blue, probably an electric lock with Pokemon Yellow. And then my goal is to get, by that point, Omega Ruby, which Blaziken is fire and fighting. And so I'll do a fighting lock with Omega Ruby, which will be a really kind of like interesting new change, because that'll be fighting, like a whole fighting team will be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal with that. We'll talk about our Nuzlocks more next week.
I do think, though, one last thing before we switch off to 20 questions, I do think with Sun and Moon, I am going to do a Nuzlocke. I'm going to do it blind, and I'm not going to do, like, the +5, because I'm not going to be looking at trainers, so I will be able to grind up quite a bit, I feel. And hopefully, I don't know, I hope I can do it, but I just feel like it's going to be a big, like, it's hard for me to kind of break out of this cycle now, especially since, you know, being a veteran Pokemon player, but doing it more in the less super challenging mode, like more of just nicknaming first one it is on the route, and if they faint they're dead, but making sure I like stay really good trained, grind. It probably will have X share, you know, so.
Yeah, the XP share will be really nice. I'm thinking about how I'm going to go approaching a Nuzlocke. By then I'll probably have a refined Nuzlocke to my personal taste. That's the whole point. You want to have fun with it. And if you don't have fun with it, then why would you even be playing the game? Right?
Yeah.
What are you doing? So be sure to leave comments down below on what you think of all the Pokemon Go news, Pokemon Sun, the Nuzlocke, etc., etc. And we'll be sure to talk to you about Pokemon down below.